Hello there, Ddraig back with SFO Grimhammer, and I look at an older update which I missed out. This was released in October 2018, so a good while ago now, but I wanted to cover major updates to all the overhauls, especially ones that develop and add more to the faction, like SFO does. So this video will of course be about the units, and I will cover the dwarves and the greenskin units. Then to the campaigns in my next video. All stats are based on ultra size. I have not added the additional units SFO mod, so beards and belts and grab your chopper yads. Let's see what the dwarves have in store for us in the first section. First up is the legendary unit at 2000 points, the Dragon Slayers. And you might have guessed, the Ultimate Slayers, with only 12 in the unit and huge damage potential, but of course, low armour. They can put a serious hurt on anything, with a large 150 AP and a truly absurd 50 anti-charge bonus. Means they can chop up a lot of things. With area attacks as well, and magical, they are formidable. The only issue you have with them is their small unit size, as they can easily get tied down with chaff. But even a lucky Skaven Slave can pierce 10 armour now and again, so watch out if they get surrounded. Yes, they do have the area attacks, but it's not the best to get them bogged down like this, as it's a waste of their damage potential, especially against single models. Also, they are prone to be kited by fast missile units, as a lot of Dwarf units suffer from this. They may be pretty quick at 40, but it's something to be aware of. Abilities wise, they have Ancestral Death Bow, adding even more damage when they get low on health and make them tougher. A one-off ability, which adds leadership and melee attack again when on low health. It is an interesting ability, and one I do forget about in the heat of battle. It can really help towards the end of a closely fought fight. Another legendary unit now, and the personal bodyguard of For-Originz, which also means he's the only Yoda who can have him in his army. And he also starts off with this powerful hammer unit. Only the elite dwarves can get to be in this unit, and their stats are interesting. While their defense looks weak on the card, they do have abilities that boost it up, which I'll talk about in a minute. Some armour on their hammer is always good, dropping armour by 30 for 10 seconds. With 50 AP as well, they put down a lot of damage even at that 60 model count. Abilities wise, they have Guardian, boosting physical resistance to Yoda or hero close to them. The Undying Oath ability is a great way to boost physical and missile resistance and a bit of defense as well. Also, it adds Disciplined, means they don't suffer leadership damage if their Yoda falls. Lastly, we have Pursuit of Battle. It's a young running buff, meaning getting the Everguard in combat is very beneficial. Slowly but surely it makes the unit tougher and tougher, adding more melee defense, making the end unit very powerful indeed, and a very potent force. Onto a new type of short range weapon now, which is pretty much a shotgun at 700 points. The Thunderer Grudge Rakers. This very powerful unit has a lot of damage, and of course decent stats as they are still dwarves, and can still do a bit in combat, especially with that silver shield and of course that high armour. Shield breaker on their shot, which reduces the chance to parry by 24%, which is powerful, and the actual damage is formidable at 52. And this combines 6 shots into one AoE blast, with a reload time of 12 seconds. Now I have used this unit, and I feel to get the best out of it is to move them around the enemy. So when the enemy hits your first line, get them knocked down, and then move this unit onto the flanks. For that reason, obviously, you need to make sure the flanks are secure before moving this unit. And you don't really need that many to have a good effect. 1 or 2 would be fine. So when the enemy unit's in position, move it to the side and yet whip. If you do the traditional wait until the enemy is in range and stand and shoot, yes it works, but not every single time, and they only have 60 range. So a lot of time they only get 1 shot, and sometimes if the enemy unit is very fast moving, you might not even get that. So knock the unit down first, then move these in to do some really close range damaging. Lastly, we come up with a different type of unit completely, the Dwarfed Engineers. It's very interesting at 1300 points, and if you're against the Horde factions, this unit is highly useful. It is basically a short range mortar team which throws shots over the front line into the enemy, and can cause quite a bit of damage to any Horde faction. Link this up with your other artillery, you can get a good mix, Just have this unit in the centre, closer to the front line, and protect its flanks at all costs. With explosive shells from a 30 strong unit, this can really thin the lines of any goblins you may run into. And at 1300 cost, it's an interesting option. Not one I would use a lot of. One unit per an army is probably enough. And then you can provide some decent artillery to back it up. So I suggest a Grudge thrower, just to add a bit more AoE damage. One ability to talk about, Dwarfed Engineering, adding a very nice buff to any missile units nearby, meaning flanking this with some crawlers in the centre of your lines can give you huge benefits to your missile line. With those grudges settled, time to go to the greenskins, and first a new type of hero, the Black Orc Big Boss. As a Black Orc, you know what you're getting, high armour and a very, very angry orc. With huge damage potential at 150 AP, this is a potent hero. With good melee attack and defense to back it up, this unit is tough and hard hitting and has numerous abilities to really bring the pain as only a Black Orc can. Bolstered armour means just around this unit means you want to improve your armour. A bit slightly. But it does provide a bit of extra armour and toughness, which always helps in any situation. Warg is your classic greenskin ability. The gift to fight, and seeing someone fight as hard as a Black Orc does, boosts combat stats to anyone next to him. Definitely a hero you run with, others to keep this buff going. Get 'em boys means when orcs are winning, they're happy orcs, and this unit buffs everyone else's stats, when it of course winning. Plus 8 melee attack is potent, but does drop their defense. So if there's some units nearby hitting the other units, this will drop their melee defense and they can suffer more casualties than you might expect. Lastly, hold the line. Boosting leadership but dropping melee attack, allowing them to fight longer, but maybe not enough to win the fight, but at least keeps your chaff units a bit in for the fight just a bit longer. As they are not there to kill stuff, because that's what the proper boys do. A bit more expensive than normal goblins, and even night goblins at 450 points. The forest goblins are coming from the deep dark forests of the old world. These goblins worship spiders, and the bigger the better, and they do come big in Warhammer world as we all know. They have poison on spears, and even an anti-charge bonus at 6, but however that UAP of 4. The poison ability adds some nice debuffs and does a small damage over time, which is a nice little bonus. Other than that, they are a reasonable unit for a cheap cost. They do a small bit of damage, which is much better than the usual goblins. Only one ability to talk about, their version of the Warg. They get much better in melee attack, but defense suffers. So a few buffs with some of their magic around them could definitely help this unit hold. Next, we have a unit of expensive savage orcs at 1400 points. These are the Bone Crubber tribe, and have a very high damage dealing unit. With huge weapon strength and a very large charge bonus, which makes most cavalry will be happy with. They also deal magic damage, as well as a nice ability on their weapons, called Banish, which increases miscast chance and reduces resistances. While there's nothing to get excited about, this unit does provide some useful buffs, as a lot of the units in SFO have resistances of some description, and this unit can debuff a lot of it. They also have Fury, stacking their damage even more, and the same Warg ability as the Black Orc War Boss. So this also buffs other units, making them well worth the cost. Having 1 or 2 on the flank as attackers, as they are quite quick, and being a green skin faction, you have usually a wide spread of units, so I find it much easier to get units around the back due to the superior numbers. This unit is obviously similar to the Black Orc unit which you usually get. But this time it's got a shield and there's more emphasis on defense. They still do a decent amount of killing, but they last a lot longer in the fight, with 50 defense and that huge armor value, and of course that silver shield, which really helps them grind down units instead of outright killing them. The AP is down to 20, so this does of course decrease their killing potential. But we do have the Encourage ability, and they have the Orc War Boss Warg ability buff as well. So adding other units next to each other is very beneficial for this unit. As a side note, they are also the same price as a normal Black Orc unit at 1550 points. The only legendary unit the Greenskins have is Gringor's Bodyguard, which came out of the Baddians and it was just him and this unit. They were dubbed the Immortals by the other Greenskins as they would not die and only Grimgor killed more things. Not much can stop this unit, and at 2200 points you can see why they cost a lot. But of course they only serve Grimgor. 50 orcs in the unit, and all tough and hard and hit like trucks with AP of 35, they can tear through units. I used to have this unit, another Black Orc unit, and Grimgor at the point, and send them in, followed by the rest of the army. The amount of damage they can cause is pretty amusing, and it really does punch a hole straight through the front line. They also have a standard Black Orc Warg, buff like the others, and one more if you're running them down next to a Yoda hero, which you should, as they had more melee attack and resistances, so getting Grimgor up to the point where he almost never misses with his axe. Only available to Azag in this campaign, because of his crown of bounty, being able to control these creatures at will. See, his favourite pet, Carolingia. You can recruit these in the campaign, and they do provide a nice bit of aerial force, which sometimes the Greenskins are very little of. Fast with poison, which is the same as the forest goblins, and a potent 300 AP, with a 25 anti-charge bonus. And of course a big charge, which makes them quite vulnerable in the air. Naturally, they won't be able to take on dragons, but as an option, they are very handy for a Greenskin army, as they're very quick. And of course with the other quick units of Spider Riders and the Wolves, this adds even more speed and allows you to harass the back line much easier. Everyone loves a Squig, and this is the biggest of all the Squigs, the Colossal Squig, at 1400 points. And it's a gigantic ball of pain to deal with. Silly quick and very attack minded, it specialises at eating infantry at 250 AP and a 50 anti-infantry bonus, and it can eat through the toughest of the high tier units. While it can be vulnerable to anti-armored units, but it has decent armour at 70. And it's faster than anything on the ground by a yacht. This is mainly due to an animation issue I believe, but to compensate for this, there is very low hit points on something this size. It means you have to be very careful with it. Abilities wise, it has spores, boosting defense of units around them, making it pretty handy as a secondary charging unit into the front line. As yet in this unit take the full force, because it will draw a lot of fire is not a good idea. If the enemy do manage to kill it, it spawns a unit of Squig Herd as it explodes. So it's still effective with this small housing unit. Lastly, Squigs go wild, boosting its attack, but not its defense, as it senses the enemy, meaning that this might not be the unit for a long fight. Do some damage and get out before it gets bogged down. It's definitely the go-to move, and avoid spears and halberds like they are the prey they are. Lastly, we have the Giant. While it's technically not a new unit, in SFO, each faction's Giant is unique, so I thought I'll just quickly go over the Greenskin one. It costs 1600, low armour and defense, but obviously has striking power and tons of health. With a Bone Crusher ability, adding a small debuff as well, and having a very high melee attack, which is not surprising because something so large, you'd be quite difficult to miss a target. The RP is good at 325, and as long as the missiles and cannon don't focus on it, it's not an easy thing to stop. With a new Warbreaker ability, which in SFO has been put on a number of the large monster units, such as the Dinos of the Isman, it also comes with boosted leadership, as fighting with this thing has got to make you feel pretty confident. Trample, which is a nice constant damage as it moves around stumping accidentally, and sometimes not accidentally on annoying things around its feet. And lastly, Savage Roar, adding even more damage to itself and anyone around them, adding a miscast chance. Probably because mages are too busy staring at this huge thing and thinking this is probably not a best place to stand. So that's the end of the new units for the Green and the Grudge. So let's go on to the campaigns, which will be our next video. So thanks for watching this one, and I'll catch you there.